Welcome to the MINDSHOCK podcast. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. This is Black Friday 2024. If everybody's not out there knocking over grandmas to get their second-rate TVs right before the next generation models come out, maybe you are listening to MINDSHOCK, the premier logical podcast about anything and everything, ranging from the paranormal to conspiracies to various scientific topics, all with logic and reason at the forefront, unlike anything in the mainstream or pretty much anything anywhere. If you want to help support the MINDSHOCK podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, the Bruce McGuire channel, right here on YouTube. You could also become a YouTube member and help support the channel that way. Like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. If you are not getting updates on YouTube, you can join the free tier on Patreon to get all the updates for our latest live streams and various true crime series dropping, plenty in the works. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section, or if you are here live with us in the live chat, I will try to get to all of them. Welcome, Truth Trollette, the first commentator in the live chat. You must consume. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if there are statistics. I'm going to try to find them, actually. After the movie They Live came out, which obviously critical thinking, conspiracy theorists talk all the time, and coincidence theorists pretend the movie does not exist. I mean, this was, I still can't really believe this movie got made. Every time it's brought up, I can't help but think, how did this get made? I mean, it's kind of weird. How did this John Carpenter film get made? I'm going to look up the statistics here on Black Friday sales before and after the release of the classic They Live. The alien, it's actually kind of weird. I need to watch it again. It actually does have a 4K Blu-ray release for those who keep up to date with the latest gen discs instead of just streaming everything all the time. Truth Trollette says They Live, the documentary. Yeah, the documentary. How did this documentary get made with a theatrical release? It's pretty crazy. But it kind of exposed. So, what was the awareness level of consumerism, the cult of consumerism in 1988? What was the awareness level? And the shape-shifting, the reptilian shape-shifting extraterrestrials. It's just so crazy how this movie got made. Is anybody else still shocked? Every time we talk about it, I bring this up. How did this movie get made? The Matrix, they kind of hid a lot. The Matrix, the documentary, The Matrix, they kind of hid a lot of that stuff. It's a little bit more plausible on how The Matrix got made. But They Live, how did this get made? I think we talked about this on the original Thanksgiving podcast from a while back, that the Black Friday deals are never the best deals. Neither are the New Year's deals. Or Christmas or New Year's deal. It's usually either Cyber Monday or somewhere. I remember that there was an entire write-up on this. So Cyber Monday is December 2nd, But I believe actually January has the better deals. But so Black Friday actually has the worst deals across the board statistically. I don't know. Maybe it's different this year. But Truth Trollette says truth in plain sight and to mock those who know. I mean, see, yeah, but are certain things just too on the nose, though? Because, I mean, there's tons of Hollywood films where, you know, there's hints, there's predictive programming, there's revelation of the method in symbolism, etc. But can you be more on the nose than They Live? I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, are there any other movies this on the nose? Because even The Matrix isn't, it's not incredibly on the nose. It's like a little off to the side with a lot of that stuff. Maybe we should do a watch party for They Live. All obviously fair use across the board. But Black Friday... So it's named after the 1869 financial crisis, which is interesting. So I guess it means just dropping prices. I mean, yeah. So this was all like a rebranding. So it was used in retail ambiguously in the 1950s. The Philadelphia Popo actually used it to describe shopping-induced congestion. Like a lot of traffic and people around. Interesting. In the 80s, it was used to describe the shift from being in the red in accounting, from losses, to being in profit in the black. And it is the unofficial start of the Christmas shopping season. It is the busiest shopping day of the year. The concept has since been used worldwide. Interesting, even though there's no Thanksgiving worldwide. But yeah, very interesting. So the Panic of 1869 was tracing the etymology. So November 1951 was the first time it was used to refer to the day after Thanksgiving. It was in the journal Factory Management and Maintenance. It referred to the practice of workers calling in sick the day after Thanksgiving in order to have a 4-day weekend. That reminds me of that old Simpsons joke back when The Simpsons was funny. When Homer says he's taken off for a 3-day weekend, and then I forgot who told him this, but somebody was relaying, either he was talking to Mr. Burns directly or somebody was relaying this. And this was one of the first seasons. He said, if you don't come in on Friday, don't bother coming in on Monday. And then he says, woohoo, 4-day weekend. Oh man, that's funny. That was back when The Simpsons was actually funny. But obviously, you know, a lot of Illuminati symbolism in The Simpsons too. Very dark, but you can kind of see how they start slow, almost like the boiling frog analogy, where they start slow with seemingly innocuous predictive programming, and then it snowballs. Heracles says, so on the nose it looks ridiculous. I guess that's an interesting strategy. Heracles says, Bruce needs background music that just sings fair use, fair use, fair use. I wonder if somebody copyrighted that song. Okay, so continuing here with the etymology of Black Friday. So there was also Black Saturday, which was also both Black Friday and Black Saturday in the early 50s was used by police in Philly and Rochester to describe crowds and shopping congestion. It's kind of weird. Only those two cities, out of all the thousands and tens of thousands of cities, Just those two, Philly and Rochester. I'm assuming they mean Rochester, New York, so not even the same state. In 61, the city and merchants of Philly attempted to improve. Was Philly just like one of the biggest cities in the U.S. at the time? Was it like an L.A. or New York back then? I mean, it's still kind of really big, but it's just kind of weird how Philly's kind of dictating the lingo. Dictating the nomenclature of describing shopping. So in 61, the city and merchants of Philly attempted to improve conditions, and public relations experts recommended rebranding Big Friday and to Big Friday and Big Saturday, but those terms were quickly forgotten. The use of phrase spread slowly, first appearing in the New York Times, November 29th, 75, in which it still refers specifically to the busiest shopping and traffic day of the year in Philly. I mean, why in Philly, though? I mean, it's not the biggest day of the year in New York or LA. It's kind of weird, or Chicago. Although it soon became more widespread, the Philadelphia Inquirer reported in 1985 that retailers in Cincinnati and LA were still unaware of the term. So that's kind of crazy. So it was used since the 50s, all through the 70s, even in the New York Times in 75, and a decade later, retailers in LA, or even, I mean, Cincinnati's not that far. That's pretty close to Pennsylvania. But LA were still unaware of the term. That's kind of weird. As the phrase gained national attention in the early 80s, merchants objecting to the use of a derisive term to refer to one of the most important shopping days of the year suggested an alternative derivation. That retailers traditionally operated a financial loss for most of the year, January through November, and made their profit during the holiday season beginning on the day after Thanksgiving. When this was recorded in the financial records, once common accounting practices would use red ink to show negative amounts and black ink to show positive amounts. Black Friday, under this theory, is the beginning of the period when retailers would no longer be in the red, instead taking in the year's profits. The earliest known published reference to this explanation occurs in the Philadelphia Inquirer, November 28, 1981. Okay. So that's kind of interesting too. So basically most retailers are just such failures that they wouldn't be able to stay in business if not for the Christmas holiday. I mean, what does that say about business in general in America? So it says here most retailers operated at a financial loss January through November. Only getting into the black, into profit, the day after Thanksgiving through Christmas. I mean, what does that say about your entire company? If the only reason you're profitable was because of a single holiday? That's kind of crazy. That's kind of weird. That doesn't inspire confidence in American retailers, does it? I mean, that's the official story on the wiki here. I don't know. Does anybody do accounting for a major retailer? Do any of the MINDSHOCK listeners know anybody who does that? Like, is that true? That's kind of crazy. I mean, there's a whole conspiracy with all these retailers that they're always operating at a loss because they have so much staff. Like, I was just in a store. I forgot the name of it. It wasn't Walmart. Was it Target? I don't even remember. And there was so much staff, but there was nobody in there. Like, how did they make money? People were talking about this, I think, right after COVID reopened. The reopenings after COVID, that all these stores with all of this, I mean, they don't move, and they barely move any of their, I mean, they move some of their cheap merchandise, but they barely, I mean, how many times do you actually see people buying, like, really expensive items? I mean, they just sit there, and they have to employ all this staff. I mean, how do they make their profit? I mean, obviously, the really dark conspiracy theories are that they're involved in illegal activities, and it's all just a front, a money laundering front, to employ all of these. Now, this obviously doesn't go for mom and pop shops, but with mom and pop shops, they generally don't have a big staff. They just have, 1, 2, 5 people, and they actually don't even have that much inventory. So they just don't have that much stuff to begin with. So they don't really need to move a ton. Truth Trollette asks, retailers as in bigger companies and corporations, or were smaller and family businesses the same? I mean, this is saying retail. I'm assuming they mean big retailers. Although it would be interesting to see a comparison with like local mom and pop shops. But local mom and pop shops were actually much more common, through the 80s. I mean, I guess late 70s, 80s would be when they started to get, when Walmart started getting big. The Walmarts, the fast food places, so all like the little family-owned businesses started to get phased out. But I mean, just look at operating costs. I mean, the operating cost of a little mom and pop shop is nowhere near Walmart. So, yeah, I mean, they really don't move that much. I mean, every time I go to any kind of department store, I mean, I only see people buying small stuff, like super cheap stuff. I don't see anybody buying high-ticket items. I mean, has anybody here worked at Walmart? Or like a major retailer that can speak on this? Welcome, Lord Zed. We could figure out a way to work Power Rangers into this podcast as well, Lord Zed. I think everybody's out shopping. Not a lot of people in here tonight. Heracles says, I question the viability of many businesses. Yeah, I mean, when you really start to think about it, because I don't remember, okay, so back in the 90s, like I remember going to department stores in the 90s, there wasn't that much staff. There was literally, like, if you needed help, it was tough to find somebody. Going to a Walmart now, there's dozens of workers, and there's really not that many customers. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, maybe it depends on which area of the country you're in, but I've been to a lot of stores in a lot of different states. Like, since COVID, it seems like there's way more staff and way less people shopping. Like, some of these department stores used to be hangout spots, not just at the mall, but like Walmarts and stuff. Like, teenagers would go there and buzz around in the handicap carts or whatever, in the electric handicap carts. They'd be hanging out in parking lots. Truth Trollette says JCPenney's hardly had staff when I was... I mean, even the Macy's, where I used to live when I was a kid, even the Macy's at Christmas time, there was only a couple employees there. So, like, it was plausible that they could be turning a profit. And you actually saw people buy stuff. There were way more customers, way less staff. And, every time I went to the mall, like, I usually saw people buying some of the more high-ticket items. Since COVID, it seems like the staff numbers went way up. The customer numbers are way down. So what's going on? Anybody have any theories on this? I mean, the other thing that's kind of weird is, like, the move to online shopping and Amazon. I mean, that happened even before COVID. So, like, how are any of these retailers just staying in business? Because I think these places used to be hangout spots. I mean, does anybody still hang out at the mall? I mean, even not at the mall, like little shopping plazas where if you walked or rode your bike around in the 80s and 90s, I mean, I don't know exactly what year that stopped happening. Maybe the first couple of years of the 2000s, but mostly in the, throughout the 80s and 90s, these were hangout spots, and they were busy. Like, you weren't shopping online in the 70s or the 80s. Some people started to in the 90s, but it was more to the late side of the 90s. So none of this really makes a lot of sense. Can anybody make sense of this retailer conspiracy? Truth Trollette says DEI hired. For who? The CEO's a DEI hired? Like, how are they actually making money? Heracles says, yep, maybe one person who wasn't on the register. Yeah, like at most, maybe 2 or 3. But now you go to a retailer. I mean, I literally saw 4 people in one aisle. 4 workers in one aisle. Yeah, I wonder if there is some kind of mass conspiracy to phase out mom and pop shops completely in favor of conglomerates. And they're getting some kind of secret government funding, you know, some of the trillions of dollars that aren't accounted for because the Fed always fails its audits. So if they're getting some kind of secret government funding to phase out mom and pop shops, that would kind of make sense. Truth Trollette says, there wasn't any malls where I grew up unless I wanted to go 30 miles one way or 60 another route. Where'd you grow up? Like Montana or something? Or Wyoming? Or the northern wastelands of Canada? You don't have to say, obviously. Run Boston Bear, welcome. Seems likely. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. It's a head scratcher. I never really thought about it. Somebody brought it up online and I started paying more attention because I did notice the uptick in way more staff, way less customers, and practically zero merchandise being moved. Zero high-ticket items being moved. Like, drive by some of these, like, furniture stores or mattress stores. I mean, they're not selling anything. I mean, occasionally they'll have a couple people in there. You know, they're not buying. It's crazy. Lord Zed says, why is it called Black Friday? That's super shady and dark. Probably some historical connection to something weird. Did you just get here? Yeah, I mean it's pretty dark. So the term was originally used during the Panic of 1869. There was an attempt to corner the gold market. And the Treasury released a large supply of gold. And prices dropped by 18%. Fortunes were made and lost in a single day. Where is everybody tonight? Nobody's here on Black Friday. Is everybody out shopping? So yeah, I mean, this is one conspiracy, of course. And supposedly some of these retailers are still making money hand over fist. I mean, let's look up some of these profits. I mean, Target, I mean, I don't go to Target often, but Target's probably one of the few stores where people actually buy stuff. I see people with actual items in their carts. And Costco. People buy stuff at Costco. But all these other retailers, I mean, every time I go there, they're practically empty and they still have so many staff. I mean, I don't know how accurate this is. I mean, let's look at the revenue. Let's look at the revenue here. We'll go to statista.com. So this is actually kind of strange. I mean, I guess we wouldn't really expect them to have honest books, right? I mean, who thinks these major corporations are going to actually have legit numbers revealed? So this is total revenue in billions of Target. So the dip was actually in 2016. That's weird. And then major growth during and post-COVID. I mean, not that, I mean, you know, a couple extra billions are extra billions, right? I mean, one extra billion is kind of a lot. I mean, relative to, you know, 73 to 77, I mean, that's not bad. So 2019 was 77, then it jumps to almost 80 billion. during COVID and then continues to go up in 2021. I mean, what is this, online revenue? I mean, how are they climbing every single year? I mean, this is kind of whack. I mean, who believes these numbers? I mean, these are the official numbers here. But, yeah, I don't know. Seems kind of whack. Do people still say that's whack, yo? I haven't heard that's whack in a while. I don't know what made me say that, but these numbers just look whack. Let's bring back whack. It's a pretty versatile term. Wacky, whack, to get somebody killed. I mean, it's a versatile term. Joe Pesci would approve. You know what else is kind of crazy? The number of Target stores hasn't increased that dramatically. Are we going to do a whole deep dive into Target now? Because none of this is adding up here. All right, check this out. So, I mean, I don't know. This isn't quite adding up here. Let's look at the number of Target stores 2006 to 2003. Let's see if this makes sense here. So their revenue is going up like crazy. So here's the number of Target stores. So during 2008, they increased their amount of stores and continued to increase through 2009. Oh, I don't have their total revenue for those years. But they don't really increase the number of stores that much. Maybe that's the secret to their success, but that's still a lot of stores. I mean, they have almost 2,000 stores here. So if they really hired that much more employees, how are these numbers legit? And if less people are, more and more people are shopping at Amazon instead of Target, do people actually go to Target? Has like a grocery section, don't they now? But aren't most people going to like Walmart for that, or their regular grocery store? Or is Target cornering the market on groceries? Heracles says, think about the rent, electric, and staff costs. Yeah, and moving less and less merchandise. But although supposedly they're profiting more and more. Lord Zed says, I think Black Friday is older than that and darker. Truth Trollette says, I do too, Friday. Yeah, probably. Especially with Good Friday. Alright, let's look at some broader numbers here. Truth Trollette says, I try to stay away from Target and Walmart. Yeah, I usually do too. Unless I'm on the road or something. But let's look. Oh, wow. It looks like most Target stores are in Cali. So how is Target still surviving? They have 316 stores in Cali. I mean, California, the failed state. That's kind of, that's kind of weird. This is whack. I mean, everybody's leaving California. How are they still making profit? This is really weird. So Dollar General actually has the most locations in the U.S. 20,583 locations. Dollar Tree is second place with 16,440 locations. 7-Eleven third place, 12,592 locations. Walmart only has 5,321 U.S. locations by comparison, but also look at I mean, Dollar Tree does have employees, but 7-Eleven usually only has 1 or 2 people there. You don't see like employees just wandering around in the aisles at 7-Elevens usually. Same thing with CVS. I was actually in a CVS the other day, and they had a lot of employees. They must have had at least 6 or 7. And I was in there, maybe 2 other people in the entire store. And that, and yeah, I mean, it was crazy. How are they making money? I mean, it's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I mean, I'm still looking at stats here. Looks like in terms of furniture, IKEA is doing the most. I mean, Amazon's rise is kind of crazy. 232 bill in 2018, 574 billion in 2023. Basically, COVID had no effect as it just climbed. And I mean, everybody's broke. Who's buying stuff? I don't know. Let's look at this graphic here comparing different retailers. I mean, Amazon kind of sort of makes sense. Well, I mean, I don't know. The Amazon warehouse, I mean, they still have all those workers. And then delivery drivers. So, I mean, I don't know. They got a lot of overhead as well. Just because they're online doesn't mean they don't have a lot of operating costs, although you would still think it might be less operating costs than all the businesses that are online plus have actual stores. So let's look at the biggest retailers here. So Walmart's doing 500 bill. They're doing more than Amazon. Okay, this is 2022. It's a little old. I think the new numbers are... Yeah, Amazon's way more. So, okay, oh, this includes... Wait, so this is only in the U.S. other than Walmart's in Mexico? How is Home Depot not out of business by now? Home Depot's another one. I mean, there never used to be anybody to help you, maybe 10 years ago. Now there's like 30 employees in there and almost no customers. How is Home Depot staying in business? I actually knew somebody who worked at Home Depot, and they were actually talking about that. And they pay pretty good too. Home Depot was paying, I don't know what they're paying now, but they were paying over $20 an hour. I mean, this was a long time ago. They were paying that already. You know, no experience or anything. BB in the chat says, I got sick from buying the hot food at a 7-Eleven once. I can proudly say I've never gotten any food at 7-Eleven other than maybe some non-7-Eleven branded waters. You know, just the same water you can get at any grocery store. I've bought water from 7-Eleven. I've never gotten any of their actual food made there. Oh, BB says a lot of contractors buy a ton of supplies from Home Depot. It's not just individual. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's probably how they do it. But still, I'm still wondering just the amount of employees, like the jump in employees in so many stores. I mean, it was legitimately hard to find somebody to help you decades ago in any of these stores, and there were actually a ton of customers. Last time I was in Home Depot, I mean, there was a couple people walking around. One of them had a cart and maybe like a 2x4 in there or something. But yeah, contractors could explain that. But I would say just random individual private customers used to go to Home Depot way more often and buy more stuff. I mean, when I was in high school, I went to Home Depot more often than now, because now you can just get stuff on Amazon. Lord Zed says, you never wheezed the juice, Bruce? I must say I'm disappointed. I was always sketched out by 7-Elevens. 7-Elevens were where the weird people hung out. Heracles says, just to keep stores that large or hot or cool, that large, hot, or cool would cost a fortune. Yeah, that's another good point. I mean, look at the air conditioning cost of some of these places in where it gets hot in the summer. Or the heating cost where it gets cold. I mean, does anybody else think there's some funny business going on with some of these major retailers? Lord Zed says, I go to the Mart and the General every day. Baby says, yeah, Target has groceries and a huge line of private label. Is Sears still around? Sears used to be really popular back in the day. I got a lot of stuff at Sears. Like, they used to have random stuff, too. Like, sometimes they'd have the best deals on, like, cool electronics. Or even furniture. Oh, wow. Sears is still around. I can't remember the last time I was at a Sears. Oh, that's kind of cool. I thought they went out of business for some reason. Wow, cool. Sears is still around. Never hear about them anymore. Like, when was the last time you watched a Hollywood movie and something happened at a Sears? Or a TV show? Heracles says Sears is gone. I don't know. I just looked them up. Go to Sears.com. They're still selling clothing, appliances. They have a store locator here. So, apparently they still have stores. Let me check Google Maps. Let's see. Actually, let me just search. How many Sears stores are there? Wow, it looks like there's not a lot. There are 11 Sears stores left. Let me put up the map. I guess they're mostly online, but there's 11 left. That's cool. I'm going to put up the map right now. So these are the 2024 numbers. There's one in Puerto Rico. I wonder if that's where they get most of their business. Yeah, Sears used to be massive back in the day. Check this out, people. Look at all these Sears stores. Oh, man. Cali actually has 4. Looks like Washington State has 2. Is that, where's that other one? Is that Massachusetts? Looks like maybe Massachusetts. And then there's 2 in Florida, 1 in Puerto Rico. Oh, and then there's 1, is that Texas? It's on the border there. Yeah, that looks like Texas. Yeah, and Massachusetts is the other one. Man, how the mighty have fallen. How the mighty have fallen. Man, it's like a blast from the past. I'm kind of thinking back to the 90s, early 2000s. I mean, Sears was... Yeah. Heracles says, I think they are in a bankruptcy default. I mean, that could last decades, though. Lord Zed says, my grandma always bragged about working at Sears. They had a cool layout. The Sears by me, where I used to live, it was, I think they even had 3 levels, and it was really cool. Like, there was this whole garage entrance. You could take the elevator up. It was pretty legit. It's a pretty legit Sears. It's like really high end. Truth Trollette says, I was disappointed when they took our Sears store because of Craftsman tools, but then Craftsman started going down in quality after that, too. Truth Trollette says, I was surprised about how little locations of Best Buy there. Anybody remember Circuit City? Circuit City was legendary back in the day. They had an interesting fall from grace. Wait, they're still around? Circuit City Corp, formerly Circuit City Stores, American Consumer Electronics Retail Company. Wow. Go to circuitcity.com. Circuit City still around? Wait. Are they just online now? So, okay. So Ronnie Schmoel reestablished it in 2016. Part of his acquisition. It was... What? We're about to do a Circuit City deep dive. So, bankruptcy 2008. It announced it would close 155 stores, lay off 17% of the workforce. In bankruptcy court, it was approved to borrow $1.1 billion for restructuring. Assets of over $3.4 billion, debt of $2.32 billion, including $119 million to Hewlett Packard and $116 million to Samsung. January 16th, 2009, it announced it would liquidate all stores. 30,000 employees lost their jobs in the liquidation, as well as 45% of Verizon's Circuit City sales force being laid off. In the final day of operations for all Circuit City stores was March 8th, 2009. Wow, they really dragged that out. Circuit City closed more retail locations in the U.S. than any other retail chain in 2009. In April 2009, Systemax signed a stalking horse agreement for $6.5 million. That's a purchase by Systemax. And November 2nd, 2012, it was announced Systemax would drop both CompUSA and Circuit City storefront brands. Circuit City Corporation, January 2016, Circuit City brand would be revived. So I didn't know about this revival in 2016. That's interesting. Huh. Circuit City was originally set to reopen June 2016, then postponed relaunch, announced at CES for February 15th, 2018. Wow, that's a huge delay. August 22nd, 2018, Circuit City Corporation officially relaunched the brand name as an online retailer and announced plans to begin operating as a store within a store chain. It also planned to open some new Circuit City retail stores in the future, but never materialized. On December 13th, 2023, so last year, Circuit City announced its intention to raise $25 million. Wow, that's interesting. So they were actually going to reopen retail stores. Huh, never happened. That would have been an interesting comeback story. A Rocky-like comeback story. I mean, doesn't everybody shop online, though? How do any stores actually make money? Lord Zed says, is Radio Shack still a thing? Let's deep dive Radio Shack. Yeah, everybody wanted to work at Radio Shack back in high school. Let's see if Radio Shack... Well, the website's still up. Wow, it looks like Radio Shack still has stores. let's see here. I mean, they have a lot of financial losses. May 2023, Unicomer Group acquired control of the worldwide Radio Shack franchise. It's based in El Salvador. That's interesting. So it looks like Radio Shack's kind of popular in Central America. Not as popular in the US anymore. Let's see how many Radio Shack stores there are. Wow. Okay. So as of April 2022, there were over 400 stores. Only 46 remain today. Or as of this past September. So 46. Not a lot. Oh, actually, it looks like it dropped to 37. Wait, that's weird. Another website says there's 524 as of September 25th, 2024. Another website showing 72. That's weird. So, not a lot is the answer. Actually, Wikipedia is showing 28 left. Wait a second. Okay. So they closed 1,000 stores this past Memorial Day. But supposedly, so it looks like there's a couple left in in just about every state. So they just keep closing a lot all the time, but it looks like there are still some left. Let me just go to Google Maps and see if there's where the Radio Shacks are. Actually, a lot of them say permanently closed when you search them. Interesting. Oh, there's still some left. There's still some left. I'm just looking over the whole country. So there's anywhere between 37 and 400. So I guess some of them are still, the storefront's still there, but it's technically closed. It hasn't been bought by anybody else yet. So I guess that's the answer. Who started this Radio Shack deep dive? Lord Zed says, Shack needs to buy Radio Shack and give the people what they want. Wow, that would be a great marketing strategy. That would definitely bring Radio Shack back. I mean, who even listens to the radio anymore, though? I mean, Radio Shack seems to have a name issue. Truth Trollette says, due to cell phones, Radio Shack started dropping around 2011. Lord Zed said, Radio Shack was dope. This is blowing my mind thinking of all the stores that went away. Yeah, I mean, Blockbuster's another one. There was one left, right? And then that closed. Yeah, Truth Trollette, there's a couple Radio Shacks left. It looks like there should be one or two in every state. Heracles asked, do you remember Service Merchandise, Bruce? They had the catalog with a huge toy section on skin. I don't remember the names of any catalogs, but catalogs were awesome. Yeah, I remember getting some pretty fat ones, and yeah, they had some cool gift ideas. I would definitely do some holiday wish listing in those fat catalogs. I don't remember the names of any of them. I guess Sears, Macy's, but yeah, there were some random ones that weren't. I don't know if I don't think they were associated with a brick and mortar location. They were just kind of like you order in. It was like not online, obviously, but it was a call in. You basically call and order, or you could fill out that form and mail it in. Run Boston Bear says, I couldn't afford Radio Shack growing up. I went in there just to look around. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember, when I was a kid, I don't remember buying anything except maybe some of that Bazooka Joe gum. That was my budget. Bazooka Joe, baby. I think Bazooka Joe's still around, too. Let me see here. I'm kind of craving some Bazooka Joe. I wonder what's in it. Might not be good. Yeah, bazookajoe.com. Bazooka Joe is still around. I can still smell it. I haven't had a Bazooka Joe in probably more than 2 decades or more. I think I had one randomly after not having one in so many years. Where can you buy Bazooka Joe? Well, Amazon has it. Walmart has it. Even DoorDash has it. That's crazy. Came out in 1947. Acquired by Fanatics Incorporated 2022. October 2023 was announced that Apex Partners had completed the acquisition of Bazooka Candy brands and its product portfolio. Heracles says, I always had a Radio Shack wish list. JT, but I did buy all my cable running needs back in the days you didn't need cable boxes. Lord Zed says, DZ Discovery Zone. I remember those commercials. I don't think I ever went there. Oh, Heracles says service merchandise did have brick and mortar. That's interesting. Oh, Lord Zed, let's not even mention the tragic sale of Toys R Us. Okay, I saw a Toys R Us not that long ago. When I mean not that long ago, I don't mean months. I mean, it's been years, but what was the exact year it closed? Wait a second, there are still Toys R Us's. What? Huh. Huh. So it's still around? Alright, hold on. What happened here? So, company filed for bankruptcy 2017-2018, closing all the stores. With the last U.S. stores closing in 2021. Yeah, I definitely saw some around then. Okay, but in... So that was... It closed in 2021, but by August... They announced that they would be opening over 400 stores within Macy's starting 2022. Okay, so there's store within a store now. So technically still around? Okay. So they had a store in Times Square in July 2001? Huh. I don't remember going there. I've been to Times Square a number of times. I do not remember a Toys R Us there. It's a 110,000 square foot store that cost $35 million. Life-size Barbie dream house. Jurassic Park themed zone with an animatronic T-Rex. Lego and an indoor Ferris wheel. That's cool. Flagship store also served as a gaming destination, partnering with Microsoft to be the world's first location to launch the original Xbox console on November 15th, 2001. In 2006, the store added a Dance Dance Revolution Supernova arcade machine in its electronic department. Am I the only person who's never played that game? That game used to be so popular. Didn't a lot of... when Vine... no, Vine came out, I think, way after... But I think that game was still popular. I don't know if it was Vine or one of those viral video sites. I guess YouTube and Vine. There was a lot of videos of Dance Dance Revolution back then. Even though it had already been out for a bit. So yeah, I guess it's just a store within a store now. I also vaguely remember Babies R Us still being around after Toys R Us closed. So, yeah, they're still around too. Huh. But I think they might also be store within a store. I mean, who saw that happening? Store within a store. I mean, that's just weird. Who thought, like, back in the 70s or 80s, who thought that that would be happening? That's kind of weird. BB says, when I was a kid, my dad got me a build-your-own radio kit at Radio Shack. We spent hours working on it and putting it together. It never worked. I don't remember those, but I do remember... I remember something similar to that. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was Radio Shack, though. Leslie Meyer says Finger Hut was a good catalog. Yeah, I remember that one. They had a lot of stuff. Finger Hut. I always thought it was a weird name. Lord Zed says, I can smell Joe's bazooka too, and it's glorious. Heracles says, Child World? I don't remember that. American Toy Retailer? Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Huh. Filed bankruptcy 92. That's where Tom Cruise worked at a toy store clerk in The Color of Money. That reminds me, we gotta get that Tom Cruise deep dive coming out soon. Truth Trollette says the last Toys R Us I was in was in Oregon in the mid-90s. Alright, let's look at this store here. There's a tour of the Toys R Us in Times Square. Let's take a look at this. This looks pretty cool. I'm kind of sad I never got to see it. I mean, I remember going to a whole bunch of places at Times Square, but I don't remember the Toys R Us in Times Square for some reason. This another Mandela? I remember being in the Statue of Liberty back in the early 90s, and there were definitely people going up to the torch. I remember being in the Crown, and there was like a long wait to go up to the torch. And, I mean, I really don't... It was such a mess, and there were mobs all over the place. I don't remember going up there myself because I think the line was too long. Like, I remember trying to go up. The stairs was clearly open, but the line was so long, it looked like it was like an hour or two. So, and I didn't wait that long. just got frustrated. But there were clearly people going up to the torch. That's my Mandela effect story about the torch of the Statue of Liberty. Alright, let's take a look at this Toys R Us in Times Square video. YouTube getting a little bit laggy again. I don't know if it's related to the multi-streaming. We should be on Rumble, Twitch, and Kick as well. The real Tommy in the chat, who remembers Discovery Zone? Who's the real Tommy? Lord Zed? Is this your nemesis, Tommy Oliver? AKA Jason David Frank, who we were just discussing last night on the Epic Thanksgiving 2024 stream. Run Boston Bear says, I used to chew way too much at once and would blow massive bubbles. Yeah, I did too. Like at least 5. At least 5 Bazooka Joes at the same time. I kind of want to get some now. Alright, let's look at this Toys R Us in Times Square video. Who's ready for this? Man, do they still make buildings with the revolving doors? I can't remember the last time I was in one of those. They used to be so fun. Wow, this place looks huge. Lord says, is the R being backwards weird? I bet we can find out it's weird. Why is the Toys R... Let me look that up, see if we can find it. So the only thing I could find, it was made to look like a child wrote it. To give that impression. It also looks like a elephant Republican, even though it's blue. I don't know, maybe some kind of weird hint there. Yeah, all I could find is to give the impression that a child wrote it. But it looks like an elephant, but it's blue. Okay, anyway. I mean, what's going on here? Look at the size of this place. Oh, look, there's actual people here. When's the last time you went into a store with this many people around? I can't believe I've never been in this store. I mean, I don't know, I've been in Times Square a number of times. Probably not 10 times, but a number of times. I don't know, maybe 10 times. Maybe about 10 times. Lord Zed says Soviet propaganda had the backward R. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think we're going there tonight. This place is huge. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, there's a actual Ferris wheel in the middle of the whole thing. This is so cool. Kids must have had so much fun in there. I mean, this place is just so huge. And look, there are actually shoppers around. I mean, when's the last time you saw? The last time I went to an actual legit huge mall, there was almost nobody there. It was like a ghost town. There were the same amount of people there during COVID as, I don't know, 6 months ago. The real Tommy says, the other day I went to Target and it was the first time I was there and there were no movies, no DVDs, or Blu-rays. They had a few couple months ago, but they finally phased out physical media. Wow, that's interesting. I wonder if different stores are different, though. Like, the management of that exact store phased them out, but other stores didn't. I don't know. BB says, it stinks. Kids these days can't visit the now defunct FAO Schwartz in New York. Not that we could afford any of the rich kid toys there, but it was an experience to visit. Yeah, this must have been so fun. Man, that's cool. That's pretty cool. Is that all made of Legos? I guess this is that guy's YouTube channel or something. He's just going around. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Lord Said says I got a Jeff Goldblum action figure there. They made Jeff. Okay, we got to do a Jeff Goldblum podcast. Oh, I got a Jeff Goldblum clip for you guys. Alright, first I have to verify that there was an action figure. Oh, wow. There actually was. So, let's see if this is the one you got. Was this the one you got? They actually made Jeff Goldblum action figures. Who knew on this stream tonight we would be talking about Jeff Goldblum action figure? Oh, wow. This definitely took a mind-shocking turn. Alright, I'm gonna play the greatest Jeff Goldblum clip of all time. Oh man, this is gonna be funny. I totally haven't seen this in so many years. I'm just not. This is gonna be hilarious. Oh man, this is a blast from the past. Alright, who's ready? We might have to do a Jeff Goldblum deep dive podcast. I don't know if anybody's done one. A career retrospective of the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Goldblum. So we actually have two clips. Viewer discretion is advised. Let me repeat that again. Even though this is all fair use, viewer discretion is advised. I don't think I'm going to play the spoiler clip. So I'll just play, Actually, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Alright, hold on. This is gonna be hilarious. Oh man, this is gonna be hilarious. Give me a second to get these on the screen. We got a couple different clips we gotta go over here. They're all so good. This is gonna be some mind-shocking stuff here. Okay. Alright, here we go. I hope everybody's sitting down for these. Alright, who's ready? We're going back to the 70s for one of Jeff Goldblum's most epic roles. Obviously, this is all fair use. Look at that posture from Goldblum. Look at that beret. I mean, look at this. Jeff Goldblum was quite the fashionista, was he not? A fashionista icon here. Anybody guess what movie this is from? Fair use.
$217. Would you have these delivered, please, Mary?
The man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Goldblum. I mean, look at this youngin' Goldblum. I wonder what he's about to do next. Can anybody guess? Nobody's guessed the movie yet? It's one of the greatest classics of cinema. I mean, this is an all-time masterpiece, if you can't tell already. I mean, just Goldblum's tongue work alone elevates this to a masterpiece. fair use. Look at all this fair use going on with all the fair use. Yes, Tim T81 got it. It is the seminal classic, Death Wish, with the one and only Charles Bronson. I mean, Charles Bronson, one of the greatest action actors of all time. He's actually got a lot of similarities with Tom Cruise. He was actually a better stunt guy than Tom Cruise. We can get into that. I mean, I don't know if that's a Black Friday type topic, but on the Tom Cruise deep dive, I'll probably have to do a really extensive Charles Bronson aside. Charles Bronson was like Tom Cruise before Tom Cruise. I mean, this guy was in his 40s and 50s doing all of his own stunts and absolutely shredded. Truth Trollette says, I haven't seen Death Wish since the 70s, so I don't remember much of it. How do you... I mean, it was on the TV in the 90s all the time. They usually ran the whole Death Wish marathon. Wait, was there 4 or 5 of them? I actually can't even... I think there might have been 5. Let me double check that. I can't believe I don't know. I'm ashamed to say. I know I've seen all of them countless times. I actually haven't seen the last one as many times, but, let's see here. There was... Yeah, there was 5. 4 was the Crackdown. I've probably seen 4 the most amount of times. But 2 and 3 are really good, too. And 5, The Face of Death. That's the one I've probably only seen maybe twice. That one came out in 94, and I think Bronson was already in his 70s in that one. Goldblum looked like he was channeling some Steven Seagal with that run. Check this out. Look at that technique. Look at this running technique. He doesn't really have the limp wrists down as well. I mean, look at all that energy he's expending, keeping his wrists flexed like that. I mean, Seagal would be able to get way more speed by not wasting the energy and contracting the muscles around the wrist. I mean, look at that. Like, the wrist contraction is holding back Goldblum from running as fast as Steven Seagal. Like, let's look at the technique here.
I'm gonna do a thing.
Shit, man, got business.
Let's go, man.
I like how these punks can't even do a proper B&E without leaving graffiti all over the place. Catch you next time, Run Boston Bear. The best part's coming up right here, actually.
Who is it? Groceries, man.
I mean, look at Goldblum's acting technique right here. I mean, look at this. Look at the stealth. The stealth here.
Goddamn rich cunt! I kill rich cunts! Goddamn rich cunt! I kill rich cunts! Mother's getting the shit kicked out of her. Goddamn rich cunt! I kill.
I mean, what a brilliant actor. I mean, the writing of this film, I mean, has it ever been surpassed? The dialogue, the emotionally charged dialogue. I mean, is it possible to write a better film than Death Wish? Is it possible to act this character of this criminal punk better than Jeff Goldblum did? Is it possible? I mean, how is this guy not... I mean, how did he not get an Academy Award for this performance? Does anybody know? This is his acting debut, by the way. This is his first film ever. I mean, look at this performance. In his first film ever. But obviously, it was a mistake to mess with Charles Bronson's family.
Well, you two dance well together.
Feel it inside.
20, 40.
Imagine making your acting debut having to fight Charles Bronson as a young punk. Goldblum, the young punk. Yeah, it's a pretty intense movie. We should do a whole Death Wish. We should do a whole Death Wish series, movie series, watch party. That'd be pretty cool. So Goldblum was born in 52, so he would have been 21 or 22 here. Wow, that was easy work. I mean, that was easy work right there. Oh man, I mean, Goldblum offered nothing. I actually forgot. I haven't seen this first part in a while. I've probably seen Death Wish 1 actually the least amount of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. I've seen the other movies way more. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, look how this is easy work. One kick, one punch, it's all over. Oh. Yeah, it was just one. So it's just door slam, kick, punch. Look at that massive haymaker. I mean, Bronson's not messing around here. Oh, man. And he's doing all his own stunts here. And Bronson himself, so this is Death Wish, so this is 74. Bronson born in 21. So he's 53 years old here. Laying the smackdown. He actually kind of looks older than me. He actually kind of looks a little older, doesn't he? He kind of looks like he's in his 60s, but... Oh, man. So he's in his 50s laying the smackdown on 21-year-old Jeff Goldblum. Oh, man. Oh, man. I told you that was good. Who brought up Goldblum? Oh, we were just going to, because of the action figure here. But this has been a heck of a Black Friday stream. You never know where any of these streams are going to end up. I never thought we would be going Charles Bronson versus Jeff Goldblum for the Black Friday stream. Oh, man. Real Tommy says, Bruce, have you seen the Mattel scandal where they have a porn URL on the back of the packaging of their dolls being sold in Target and Walmart? That's weird. Although not terribly surprising, I guess, these days. Truth Trollette says Lord Zed's fault. Yeah, it is all Lord Zed gets us into all these rabbit holes. I mean, who the heck buys a Jeff Goldblum action figure? They should have a Death Wish. How come Jeff Goldblum didn't have an action figure for Death Wish? Not exactly a children's movie, but yeah, I mean, it was on TV and all the children watched it. I mean, man, Charles Bronson was kind of awesome though. I mean, he was just destroying everybody in the Death Wish movies. Just a random old guy with a gun just shooting everybody. Laying the smackdown. Alright, any final points here before we close this night out? Truth Trollette says, love you, Lord Zed. Lord Zed causes all the trouble. I mean, seriously, who buys a Jeff Goldblum action figure? Oh, man. Oh, man, that's crazy. Oh, man. Oh, wow, no way. No way. Jeff Goldblum actually had another action figure for Independence Day. Man, how many action figures did Jeff Goldblum have? Did you collect them all, Lord Zed? Were you just that massive of a Jeff Goldblum fan? I mean, I didn't even know there was such a thing as Jeff Goldblum fans or Jeff Goldblum action figures. Like, how is this non-action star having all of these action figures? I mean, this is truly mind-shocking stuff. I mean, you thought some of the other topics we cover on Mindshock are mind-shocking? I mean, this might be the most mind-shocking topic yet. Jeff Goldblum action figures. Is that a floppy disk? It came with a floppy disk? That's kind of awesome. The Independence Day Jeff Goldblum action figure came with a floppy disk. That's pretty cool. Lord Zed says, I didn't collect them all, but I had a few Michael Keatons too. Yeah, well, Keaton for Batman, I mean, that kind of sort of makes sense. But Jeff Goldblum... Yeah, they really need to make a Death Wish action figure for Jeff Goldblum. I almost said Death Goldblum. Oh, man, that should be his alter ego. Alright, I think we're going to have to round this one out. Real Tommy says that expletive is probably worth so much today if it's unopened. Yeah, maybe. Jeff Goldblum action figures. I did not see this coming. I'm still in shock. Jeff Goldblum action figures? That's what we're talking about? I'm gonna be chuckling. I'm gonna be chuckling about this for a long time. If someone told me when I started MindShock that we would be discussing Jeff Goldblum action figures, I would not have believed you. But that is where we ended up on Black Friday 2024 here on MindShock. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. If you're not getting the updates, you can become a free patron on the free Patreon tier, and you should be getting all of the updates. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.